Most of the nearly 300 confirmed cases are at hospitals like this one here in Wuhan, ground zero for this mysterious virus. And it's also showing up in other cities.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
They're fighting a war here and they're losing. Their message to us is simple. Get ready.
Now hitting the United States from coast to coast.
We have 3 confirmed passengers on board the ship with confirmed COVID.
We're in the grips of a panic buying frenzy as thousands of frantic shoppers descend on supermarkets across the suburbs.
This is completely unacceptable. There is no need for panic buying.
All of a sudden, within 20 minutes, it was pandemonium.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Stop doing it. It's ridiculous.
With the pandemic at our doorstep and angry customers everywhere, retail, fast food and warehousing workers proved something we've always known, that your work is essential.
Retail workers don't make the rules, other customers don't make the rules.
Their union says staff abuse is up 400% as a result of COVID-19.
The treatment of workers through this crisis has been nothing short of appalling.
I've had roll cages pushed into me, I've had trolleys pushed into me, I've had bread thrown my direction.
Supermarkets should be having paid, trained security officers do the work.
And your union's priority was to keep our essential workers safe.
The Retail Workers Union is calling on the state government to classify retail staff as essential workers, which would give employees greater protection if they were to be abused or even assaulted on the job.
And it will send a really strong message to the community that retail workers are not to be assaulted, are not to be abused.
We fought and fought the ongoing customer abuse.
We're calling for perspex screens to be in front of checkout operators. We're calling for hand sanitizer, good quality hand sanitizer to be available right throughout workplaces.
As COVID took its toll on the economy, hundreds of thousands of retail workers were laid off.
Myer is the latest retailer to fall victim, closing its doors for the first time in its history. 10,000 workers are being stood down.
Some of Australia's most iconic retailers have announced they're closing their doors this weekend to protect customers and staff from coronavirus.
The SDA union, which represents retail workers, is calling for an urgent government-funded wage subsidy.
Without a wage subsidy, the welfare bill is going to be larger and it's going to go on for longer.
And we won, securing a wage subsidy which supported millions of Australians through the hardest months of this pandemic.
This is a country-changing moment. 6 million people getting paid, 6 million people with a decent standard of living.
Meanwhile, trading in our supermarkets surged, delivering record profits for the big retailers. How did the Fair Work Commission reward essential workers? By freezing their wages. Our essential workers deserved better than this.
Our workers, our frontline workers in retail, in those pharmacies and in those petrol stations need to be recognised for the fact that they'll be going into work, continuing to serve the Australian community in a time of high anxiety.
That's why we stood up and we fought tooth and nail to win real pay rises and essential worker payments. But what was the Marshall government's response?
The mad rush seeing the government grant a trading exemption allowing 24-hour trade for supermarkets, pharmacies and other essential stores across suburban Adelaide. Woolworths and Coles taking advantage of it, but the Workers' Union says it's unfair.
These additional hours are unnecessary and quite frankly not helpful for retail workers who are already putting up with madness over the last 24 hours.
We need time to clean our stores, we need time to sanitise, our staff need to be rested. And to give us this shorter notice is totally arrogant.
The abuse is a result of the stores being empty. The abuse is a result of people doing a run on the shops. The government's actions to stop that and just simply open shops longer doesn't address the problem they're seeking to deal with.
This has never been about making it easier for South Australians to get food. This has all been about Rob Lucas feeding his trading hours obsession.
Retail workers are demanding Boxing Day in South Australia is made a public holiday.
The hypocrisy of the Liberal government to say that shops will be open on Boxing Day, but workers won't be getting the penalty rates that Rob Lucas and Stephen Marshall promised them is simply shocking.
Thanks to our campaign, we secured public holiday penalty rates across most major companies, delivering millions of dollars to the back pockets of hard-working South Aussie retail workers.
South Australia's Fast Food Workers Union has filed a federal court action against an Adelaide McDonald's franchisee on behalf of 25 current and former employees. The union seeking thousands of dollars in compensation, alleging 25 workers were told they could have a soft drink in lieu of a 10-minute rest break.
Supporting some of the youngest and most vulnerable workers in the country, the SDA launched over 7 federal court actions against McDonald's to stop the systematic exploitation and mistreatment of workers. And there's more to come. McDonald's workers right across the country stood up, stood together, and stood with their union to say enough is enough.
An Adelaide company that owns 20 supermarkets across regional SA has been accused of widespread and deliberate wage theft by the state's shop workers union.
The union is taking Yadunda farmers to the federal court on behalf of 64 current and former employees, alleging that they've been underpaid by over $1 million.
Our underpayment action, which was started on behalf of 64 workers, has now grown to over $3 million for 300 workers. It doesn't matter if it's in our cities, our towns, or our regional communities. If your business model is wage theft, the SDA is coming for you.
A festive furore has erupted over staff working on Christmas Day. The 25th is a Saturday this year, so holiday rates won't apply.
After all that 2020 and 2021 brought, after all that essential workers have done serving our community, Stephen Marshall is denying workers their Christmas Day, leaving South Australia as the only place in the country where Christmas Day is not a public holiday.
Pretty rough because you firstly have Christmas away from your family and then not to have the penalty rates, which you kind of look for as a bonus to be like, at least I made it up with something.
Just think about who are the workers that will be working on Christmas Day. It's our essential workers. The workers have done it so tough and served the community so hard over the last 12 months. These workers will be going to work on Christmas Day and not getting a cent extra.
I'll be skipping your house, Stephen Marshall.
Throughout all of this, retail, fast food and warehousing workers have proven just how essential they are. SDA members continued to work on the front line of this pandemic, working through while others stayed at home. You and tens of thousands like you, proud SDA members, ensured we could put food on the table and will ensure we can again put presents under the tree this Christmas. No matter what we face next, we'll be right there with you. Your union, our union, the SDA, at work with you.